Welcome back to the next session, everybody. And I'd like to hand over to Amanda again. Thank you, Amanda. Over to you.
Thanks very much. Welcome back. Welcome to customizing the intake process to drive efficiencies in our workflow. If you're looking for the benefits of tiering projects in design workflow with State Street, please join track 2. Of course, do not forget to type your Q&A, your questions, in the box at any point throughout the session. Now, I'm not going to waste any time. This lady is phenomenal. I'm going to dive straight into introducing the wonderful, the amazing, talented Christie Sinai from Xero. Her expertise in creative services is amazing, and I know you're going to love her presentation. Over to you, Christie.
Oh, thank you so much, Amanda. I feel very humbled to be here, so thank you for having me. I am an absolute creative nerd, so this is something very close to my heart, so hopefully you'll enjoy it. So today I'm going to be talking about our Xero journey on customizing our intake process to drive efficiencies in our workflow. Okay, so I wanted to start with the company that I work for, obviously Xero. Such an amazing company, values, everything they do is just wonderful. So again, I feel very lucky to be part of such an amazing team. So a little bit about Xero. Xero is a leading global platform, helping small businesses and their advisors to grow and thrive. Our purpose is to make life better for people in small businesses, their advisors, and community around the world. With a purpose like that, where else would you want to be? Let's be honest. And our vision is to be the most insightful and trusted small business platform there is. Okay, so who am I? My name's Christie Sinai. I'm Xero Studio Traffic Manager. My primary goal is to protect the quality of the creative process, production and delivery, whilst making sure the design team executes high quality solutions smoothly and efficiently. What a mouthful. I am the glue. I'm the person that talks to all the people, sits there, makes stuff happen in the background, and I absolutely love it. Okay, so just to give you a bit of background, we call our internal creative agency The Hub, and we're in Xero. And I just wanted to give you some sort of stats and a bit of data to give you an idea of sort of what we do and that sort of thing. So Xero's software is used in over 180 countries in the world. We're just shy of 100 people in the hub worldwide. We service 7 regions, including the UK, the US, AU, NZ, EMEA, APAC, it goes on and on. The platform that we're using is Adobe's Workfront. So we use that for project management and resource management. Almost this time last year, we had 2.7 more million subscribers. So I'm looking forward to seeing the stats for this financial year. We have roughly about 3,600 staff worldwide working at Xero. And just to give you an idea of how much work we actually put through in our hub, this financial year, we worked on over 1,500 projects, you know, and that's a lot. That's definitely no small feat at all. Okay, so I'm going to talk about our Xero journey on customizing our intake process to drive efficiencies in our workflow. And look, I'm quite a simple person and I like to boil the stuff down. To me, it was about getting the right information at the right time to the right people. And I'm just going to give you a quick story. It's kind of a personal one that really outlines the importance of this. So me and my family live on a little farm block in the valley, sort of outside Wellington, New Zealand. And a few years ago, my stepson came into the kitchen and, you know, any working mum, I had like 3 pots on the boil. I had a child attached to my leg. I'm sure a couple of the dogs were in there, a cat. We had lambs and nappies. It was all go. And my stepson comes running in and he's like, "Oh, Christie, I'm just letting you know that I'm going to go and wash the rooster." And I thought, oh, yeah, cool. That's awesome. You know, busy as, whatever, honey. And I think in my head, when, you know, it sort of caught up on me, I thought, oh, he'll get a wet wipe and he'll go and wash the rooster and the rooster will run away and that would be awesome. And, that was my first mistake, not getting the right information at the right time. So all of a sudden I hear this screaming and yelling, and there's feathers, and it was just utter chaos. And I went screaming outside, and my stepson had grabbed our rooster, had filled up our laundry basket and was dipping him in and out of this laundry basket. And the rooster was terrified. Anyway, Mr. Roo was okay though, by the way. There were definitely no roosters harmed in the making of this presentation at all. But the rooster never wanted anything to do with my stepson from then on in. And look, if you flip that over, it's very similar with workflows. If you've got the right info, it's at the right time, and it's going to the right people, then you can save so much time down the track. And you could also save a rooster from being drowned. Okay, cool. So little bit of scene setting, so you understand kind of how we work as a hub. This is our basic workflow for how a project travels through. So the marketers put a request in via Workfront, which is our platform. I look at the request, and then the request is then assigned to a producer, relevant producer. And then the request goes to triage. So triage is a meeting we have once a week with our hub leadership team, where we look at the asks and we look at alignment, we look at the effort required, and we basically talk about, anything sort of going on around that ask. Gets pushed through triage, and then our wonderful producers will scope up the project. They'll prepare an amazing project plan. Then it'll come back to me. I will liaise with some of the most amazing creative leads I've ever worked with, wonderful producers, and our creative teams, to make sure we've got the right people on the right work and that it all works at the right time. So definitely a bit of a juggle. And then from there, producer then manages the project through to completion. Okay, so just a little bit more scene setting. So like I said, we use Adobe's Workfront. At the time that we went through this process, would have been, I think, just over a year ago now. Our intake form had really standard questions. What's your in-market date? What's the description? Who's the requester? That sort of stuff. Our processes were working pretty well. But for our triage weekly meetings, we really needed more data to make informed decisions. And we wanted that data to be surfaced in one place, because I could literally spend the whole day running around talking to people to try and get this information into triage. So we needed it right there for us. And I think a huge part of this process was, how could we differentiate between everything being screamingly urgent to what was actually urgent? Really interesting one. Okay, so how did we start this process? It took months. This is very condensed. But as with kind of all perilous journeys, that you go on, you need a mantra. And for us, it was effort versus reward. And to Xero, especially in our hub, that meant, okay, so we've got to make sure that the hours we're putting in and the time and everything is going to match the reward that comes out at the end of it. So if we were going to do a Facebook post to my 5 friends that I've got, but I thought it would be a great idea to spend 100 hours getting the social tile done, then, that completely is unbalanced. So we just kept coming back to effort versus reward. So I think one of the most important parts of this is stepping back, look at the main pain points that you have for all interconnecting departments in the hub that touch on a brief or workflow. And I'm doing this because this needs to come from the people that you're working with, the ones on the ground. They just have information that is just so valuable. So looking at it from a traffic and triage perspective, for me, one of the main things I really wanted was, well, is the in-market date flexible? And I know that sounds really simple, but just a little tick box on our form just changed my world completely. So much easier to horse trade. What was the reach? So how important is this? How many people are going to be seeing this creative? Is it my 5 Facebook friends, or is it going to be, the entire region of APAC or that sort of thing? What was the available spend? So marketing might have this amazing idea and it's like, yes, let's go, let's put all the effort in it that we can. But then you work out that they don't have the backing of the regions, or the money that's there is not anywhere near as, you know, sort of aligned on to the ask. So that was a big one. Does it align with the company's strategic priorities? So this was another amazing one to think about. So for example, if AU, one of their priorities on the roadmap was to target verticals, and we had a vertical ask in, say looking at construction from AU, then we know straight away that aligns. Cool, let's get onto this, let's push it through. And the other one for me was, is it XLT critical? Now, XLT is our leadership team. So if there's a request from them, that's something I need to know really quickly. Right, producers, our amazing producers. What are the date drivers? You know, we're building this amazing project journey. We need milestones. What are the drivers? Where do we need to get? What deliverables do we need for each of those steps? And look, hey, we need a brief. No brief, no job. Now, from a creative's perspective, what was the problem that we needed to solve, right? So getting the creatives on board more early on in the discussion gave them, you know, they were part of that creative opportunity. So that was as well, just tweaking our intake form slightly to change it from, you know, the description, what do you need, to what are you trying to solve? So that definitely got us off on the right foot. And again, coming back to effort versus reward. Okay, cool. This was a fun one. So for us, we needed to look at what defined urgent. So we threw all of them up in the air, right? Is it the project sponsor with the loudest voice, the person that is on Slack saying, I've sent you 30 messages, what's happening with this project, where it's going? Is it the region with the highest sales targets for the year? Strategic alignment, first in, first served, the in-market date, you know, all that sort of good stuff. And after a lot of discussions around this, we managed to lock it down, all right, to 4 buckets, if you will, of urgence. So reach, huge one. How many people are going to see it? Easy. XLT request, you know, that's our leadership team. It's absolutely urgent and deserves to be here. Spend, you know, let us know how much spend you've got. Then we can look at the effort. We can look at the reach. We can do all that good stuff. And then strategic priorities. So again, is it aligning with where the business is going for that financial year? Now, I'm just going to look into these a little bit more and take you through them. So XLT request, really simple. If it's from the leadership team, clear the schedule, hands on deck, let's do it, let's get it out, it's happening. That was an easy one. Strategic priority, again, does it align with our business's priorities? Yeah, it does. Cool, let's do it. No, it doesn't. Well, we still might do it, but hey, we know that if we need some extra room, maybe that can sit slightly back. And so knowing this information and what the alignment was really enabled us to make a lot more informed decisions around the effort required. Okay, so this is where it gets interesting. So bear with me. Right, so we wanted to use our platform to plug in calculations to magically give us reach and spend. So if we look at reach to start with, we used actual data of regional audience sizes, and we added that to the intake form for the marketers to fill out. So straight away, you know the audience. Basically, the larger the audience to us, the larger the project size. So pretty sweet. Spend. So being an internal agency, we created a rule. So 1 hour was $100. Therefore, 1/5 of that spend equals the hours or the effort required that we need to spend on the ask. So for example, if a marketer wanted to run a campaign and say they had $100,000 to spend, so 1/5 of that is 200,000. Obviously, divide that by $100, and that's 200 hours of effort required. Now, this was for design and copy. For the media side of our team, who do amazing work, motion graphics, videography, photography, all of that good stuff, they generally require more hours for their projects. So what we did is we added a 5 times multiplier to that. And look, we did this all inside the system, which is super cool. So the marketer comes in and they've selected that they have amplification budget. We look at the spend to get our project size. If a marketer has no amplification budget, we look at the audience size to get our project size. Now, from these calculations, we created templates for our producers to use, really simple, small, medium, large, extra large, and it would show the hours that, we thought. And bear in mind, this was all just a guide, purely a guide, but if I can beat our own drum, we've got it pretty spot on, to be honest. It's been pretty awesome. And again, all of this coming back to the effort versus reward, which we just completely, drummed into our heads. Okay, so with these newfound capabilities, what could we do? So we were able to plug both the reach and spend calculations into the back end of our platform that would calculate the appropriate effort. Awesome. We added amplification spend to our intake form. So when triaging requests, we could see whether marketing had the financial backing then and there straight away. And then from these calculations, we would basically get templates that would spit out for our producers that would show the effort that was required to continue on with the ask. So all of this stuff was just awesome, absolutely awesome. Now, because it's been in for about a year, I just want to run quickly over the impacts it's had. Producers are now guided on effort for each request. They know the audience size, they know the budget, and they're able to horse trade based on strategic alignment. Traffic, good understanding of effort, knowledge of, the data, the discussions. I can have it based on data, not on opinions. I'm able to horse trade. I know it's flexible, and it's all surfaced for me. I don't have to go and find it. For our triage meetings, we were able to make informed decisions based on actuals and not opinions, reach, spend, strategic priority. And for our creatives, it was a great understanding of the effort required and its knowledge of what was movable for them to gain just a bit more control over their schedule. So all in all, yeah, amazing. Now I wanted to put this slide in here. Essentially, we were looking back to planned forward. Basically, what I really wanted to sort of touch on was that we do look at the data we report on. We use that data for the greater good. I really want to emphasize that it's great to do all these reports and show this and that, but you can use this stuff, and you can use it super well. So build the platform, build the intake form so that you can use that data and that knowledge gained to help you further customize your workflow and processes. It'll create so many efficiencies. Okay, cool. So the main takeaways from me today are to engage and listen to your people. They're the ones that will just give you so many insights that you may not get, from where you were sitting. Look at the data. Look at the data. Don't use it as wallpaper. Make sure what you're looking at, you can use it and you can use it to make decisions. Define your urgent. So define the urgent for you and your company and see if there's a way that you can measure that urgent as well. Utilize your platform. So it's great having a platform, understand the capabilities, keep up to date with what's going on, new innovations, all that sort of stuff. And then let the technology work for you and not the other way around, which I'm pretty sure is going to be my mantra going into FY23. Make improvements constantly. Small wins are the best. Your team, your people know that you're there and you're trying to make changes and positive changes. And then let's be honest, when you're done, you'll probably have to repeat the whole thing over again anyway. So look, always be on the lookout to make things more efficient. With technology that is available today to all of us, change is the only constant. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me so I could share a Xero journey. I really do hope that you get some gems out of this talk so that you can better customize your intake process to create efficiencies in your workflow.
I almost want to give you a round of applause, Christie. That was phenomenal. It was great. Such an informative presentation. Thank you again for giving that presentation. I certainly, every time we talk, when you talk about gold nuggets, sometimes I take a gold mine away with me, and I kind of put myself in in our department, in our creative services department, and think, yes, we could look at tweaking that in that way so that we can make the most out of or get the most out of, you know, what comes in, or in fact build on that priority piece. Because you're right, you know, when you've got a who shouts loudest scenario, it's really hard to prioritize. I think there were some comments in the chat that we call them the XCOM team or the leadership team. When those requests come in, it doesn't matter. Yes, we'll do them. Yes, how quick do you want them?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And then, but then how do you go then for the next one? And, you know, amplification budget is absolutely, you know, it's key to knowing what the priorities are and making sure that the team is working on something that's going to bring the bigger impact to the company.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
So I've got a couple of questions from the panel and from myself. How did, and this is great, actually, this is from Nikki Allen. It was along the lines of a question I was going to ask. How do you manage the team adoption after the awesome implementation you had, you know, the change management? It says here, Xero is a star user of Workfront. And so any lessons learned on adoption would be great to hear, even from our point of view. You know, my question I wrote down also, Nikki, was how did the business take to it?
I think the people are just so important. And for me, it's about communicating and over communicating, if you will. So we're doing this, and context was a huge one. So why are we doing it? It's all good to say we're doing something and another process might change, but to be able to actually say we're doing this so we can get to here, we're doing this to protect you, you know, we're doing this to make sure that we can get where we need to be as a company and as individuals. I always think it's a people thing, you know, the technology's there, the systems are there, but for me it's the people, and it's talking to them if something's not working. You know, you need to be listening, and if you can do something about it, you do, and if you can't, well, then you show that you're trying to make an improvement. I think that would be my main thing, because the technology is going to be there, and the people though are what really drives that. And so I just think talking and being open and honest, really
and I
simple
guess
stuff.
also giving them the benefit of utilizing such a tool that
absolutely
that certainly helps. Yeah,
absolutely.
And I love over communicate. Everybody is so busy at the moment, you know, their heads full of so many things, you know. A nice reminder constantly, it certainly helps.
Yeah, and I think one thing actually I've thought about quite recently is the language you use.
Yeah,
it's all well and good for us to use language with all this reporting stuff and all that thing, but actually if you want to get someone's attention and get someone to do something, just speak normally, you know. Just really simple, easy language. I think that's helping
absolutely. It's great advice. Questions are coming in thick and fast now. I know. So it's great that things are going so well. Jeremy Hoyle's asked, looking to the future, what are your next phases for the platform? Is there anything you'd like to see in Workfront that you don't have right now? Great question.
That is a great question. Great question. Yes, there is. I am so excited that Adobe has purchased Workfront. And I think for me, what I would love to see is a way to schedule for the creative mind, right? So we've got the workload balancer, which is what we use to schedule, and that's great for data, and that's great if you have an analytical brain. But if you're more visual, you know, like our amazing creatives, it would be great to have a plugin or some way to make it, you know, suit them a lot more than just me sitting there with my dashboards and reports and things like that. So I'm really interested in the creative space. Also, how the creative suite is kind of going to link to that as well. So that would be what I'm really hoping for.
Yes, the creative suite and how that is going to automate potentially some of the actions with Workfront. Yeah, that's a very exciting thing to look forward to. So how much time do the creatives spend in Workfront, or is it primarily for the project management, the traffic management, and the triage, etc., and the producers?
So my whole thing is creatives should be creative, not deep inside of, you know, a platform. So what we generally do is we've got the schedule there. They'll jump in the morning, have a look what work is in there, and then go on their day. So, you know, for us, it's making it visual and simple, really easy to look at, so they know what they're moving on with. And yeah, so for me, it's as little as possible so they can get on doing what they love and what they're good at.
Absolutely. Now, let me see if there are. Yes, would you be able to share the benefits of having an internal creative agency versus mainly engaging external creative agencies?
Absolutely. So working in an external creative agency, I think that if I'm going to be completely honest, which I'm a very honest person, the money thing makes a difference, right? So when you've got your customer ringing you at midnight while you're feeding your baby saying, why has my website gone down? Or this campaign, I've got this and that. Whereas in the internal creative agency, we're all working for one brand, one company. And I think that unison between everyone is, you want to help and you want to, you know, to help everyone move forward. And I find personally going to an internal creative agency is just, I love it. I just find it's less stressful. Everyone works together as one, and I'm working with some of the most unreal industry experts I've ever worked with. It's, I love it. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't go back. We'll never say never, but yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And I, you know, from my point of view, I also, you know, we also have internal studios and or internal creative teams across the globe, and the knowledge that they have about the business, because they live and breathe it, and they're inside the business, and they tend to be there tends to be longevity with people who stick within the business. You know, the information that they've got is second to none, and getting that transferred to an agency where people could leave, that's certainly one of the benefits that I've seen.
And I think because Xero is all about work-life balance, so you get to have a life and do the job that you love. It's crazy. Absolutely. I never knew that before I came to Xero.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good. I have one more question that I'm going to squeeze in. I know we've only got a couple of minutes left, but have you seen, Sundeep has asked, have you seen improvements with creative and marketing? Let's be honest, they are great, but they can be tough.
They absolutely can. And that's why a platform is a great buffer. And as long as you put everything you can in that intake form, it kind of gives you a bit of, I don't want to say protection, it's probably the wrong word, but it's a way to get people to use it. I think one of the struggles was getting them to use the system. So getting our amazing producers all saying the same thing, go to Workfront, go to Workfront, go to Workfront. That was huge. So getting the team on board to push them into that place made all the difference.
Yeah, brilliant. Look, thank you so much. Thanks very much for your presentation. Always a delight to speak to you.